Paul Jones Drug is Elk City's most experienced compounding pharmacy, meaning they can custom make your prescription medications to your doctor's specifications, safely and effectively providing you with exactly what you need. And for your convenience, Paul Jones Drug has a drive-through pickup window as well as curbside service for testing and vaccinations, and offers free local delivery. Just a couple reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
If you build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cow.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cow with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Paul Jones Drug Tuesday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, The Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. You know what today is, Jared?
It is Tuesday, November 14th. Is there like an official day, like a holiday that I don't know about? What is it?
It may go down in history as an official holiday.
Okay. I'm interested. What could it be?
It's the first time that the NBA fan gets to see Chet and Wemby.
I had a feeling you were going there.
Chet Wemby. There's an article, right? Brian Windhorst has written an article right on the front page. The very first thing you see on ESPN under the NBA tab. Why Victor and Chet could be the NBA's next intense rivalry.
We kind of talked about that.
It's always going to be something.
Yeah.
Just because of their similarities in size. I think the proximity of the two, location-wise. I think when the NBA expands through Vegas and Seattle, that you're going to see Oklahoma City and San Antonio be in the same division. Once that happens, which then leads to maybe an extra matchup a year, maybe sometimes two. Chet versus Wemby tonight. Thunder versus the Spurs. And there's also the Thunder-Spurs thing. It's been fun. It's been a fun playoff rivalry throughout the years, especially when both teams or when the Thunder were really good in their first kind of go round. So it's coming up tonight. We'll talk about the Thunder. They've started off pretty well, considering the difficulty of this early season schedule. 6-4 through 10. I'm not great at the new math, but you win 6 games out of every 10. That's going to put you in a really nice spot once it comes to the end of the regular season. So, you're looking at 48, 50, around 50 wins if you get 6 out of every 10. So that's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We'll talk Thunder and Spurs, Wemby and Chet, and just the Thunder overall. College football, I'm going to let you put on the hats of Ross Bjork and Zach Selman. Make a hire for Texas A&M and Mississippi State. Tonight's third installment of the college football playoff rankings. Will the top 8 remain unchanged? We had a couple of wins toward the top that were pretty significant. Is that enough to change things? I'm never going to trust one team again. I wanted to get to this yesterday. I didn't quite get there. I'm not doing it ever again. I feel like Charlie Brown trying to kick a football with one team. Who do you think are the best 4? Not resume, not when you watch college football. Your eye test tells you who are the top 4. Big 12 title game scenarios, there's a bunch of those, and we'll do our top 10 as well. And then the NFL will wrap up the week. Where are all the good young quarterbacks? There's one. And I mean like first few years. Maybe 2. Jalen Hurts probably counts in that first couple of years. But where are they? I think that's what leads to such bad games on a weekly basis. Yeah, there are some blockbuster matchups in the NFL every week. There's also a bunch of terrible games. How many teams do you think right now, heading down the stretch of the season, about halfway point or so, how many will now go into tank mode? Because this year's draft, quarterback-wise, people are talking about it being one of the best ever, historic, with the depth and the quality. So how many teams right now are in tank mode going into week 10? Well, going into week 11. There were some bad losses from some good teams this week, and then also our top 5 in the NFL. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. It's 225-9698. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We'll talk about anything. If you're going to be outside the listening area, you can stay in touch with the show by logging on to kadsam.com, or you can download the app. The app is free, and it's got everything. It has got radio. It's got the Penny News. It's got Big Elk and Paragon TV. There's some hoops on Paragon TV tonight that we can talk about. So download that app. And, of course, the Skinny on Sports podcast. Miss the show entirely, you can check us out anywhere where you can find a podcast. How are you today, Jared?
Good. I'm good.
You're all Trojaned out. It must mean you are headed somewhere.
Yeah, Sweetwater. Heading west. Sweetwater, Oklahoma.
All right, so we've got Olusty and Eric, Canute, Sweetwater, Hammond, Arapahoe, Butler, Leedy, Sentinel, Cheyenne, Hydro, Eakley. Those are the doubleheaders tonight. 6:30 for the girls' games, 8 o'clock for the boys. ParagonTV.com. Good stuff.
Yeah, we're going to get a bunch of games and then, boom, stop for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's the way it goes always.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I wonder if anyone else is doing this. I noticed this. I think I'm right. I asked the right people, and they confirmed it. On a week from today, Canute Up is at Arnett. Of course, they're out for Thanksgiving all week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most schools are. Well, they've decided to have their first game, their girls' game, at 5.
Oh, nice.
Followed by the boys, so everyone gets home a little. I mean, they're out of school. Why not just do it a little earlier? So I like that because Arnett's a little bit of a trek.
Yeah, very good.
Get up there. But I wonder if anyone else is going to do that.
It's a great question.
Kids are out and get them on the, get them there, play the game, get them home. I like that because I like that. Instead of getting home at 12:30, I'll get home at 11:30.
Now, this is a fine suggestion. Stop and eat at Pack Saddle. That is a fine suggestion.
Yeah, I got some questions for him. I want to our Arnett listener.
Well, there's surely more than one.
Well, the only one that texts in.
Yeah.
Ask him about some setup situations. I got a week to figure that out. I've been to Arnett, but I've never been to a basketball game in Arnett.
Cheeseburger and potato wedges. That's what you're looking for. That's the answer you're looking for.
Good one.
Yeah. That's what you're looking. That's the answer you're wanting. All right, NFL this week. We kind of broached this subject last week when we talked NFL, but we didn't get all the way into it. And that is, coming off, I guess last week you had Dallas and the Eagles. There was a couple other good games. But for the most part, in week 9, it was pretty rough. The entirety of the schedule. You had Miami, Kansas City overseas. But then let's look here. Houston, Tampa Bay turned in to be an awesome game, but it didn't start out that way. Cleveland, Arizona, Chicago, New Orleans, the Vikings and the Falcons, Green Bay and the Rams, Washington and New England, Indianapolis, Carolina, Vegas and the Giants. And then you had Dallas and Philly, and then you had Buffalo and Cincinnati. And then the Monday night game was the Chargers and the Jets. I mean, there's a bunch of sorry games in that. And I got to thinking about it. A big part of the reason why is, okay, you've got Herbert versus Zach Wilson. For the Giants, you got who? I don't even know. DeVito?
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito.
Was that not a character in Goodfellas?
It had to have been. And I'm afraid that Danny would have been better at quarterback than Tommy was on Sunday against the Cowboys.
Poor Tommy. And
who's the quarterback for Vegas?
Did you see his parents? They kept flashing his pictures of his family up there. Man, they look like they're connected. They look like they're connected to the
That's Jared Athas, not Aaron Couch.
I'm not trying to out him or anything, but man, they just looked the part from jersey and everything.
Oh yeah. Who's the quarterback for the Vegas Raiders right now?
Oh goodness, I don't know.
It's Aiden O'Connell, I think.
Aiden O'Connell,
rookie from Purdue.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. I
Because Jimmy G's done.
Yeah.
So you had Gardner Minshew against poor Bryce Young. You know who's actually become a decent quarterback?
Dobbs.
Looking back this week, Dobbs isn't bad. Sam Howell for the Commanders. He's putting up some pretty good numbers. But last week it was him against Mac Jones. Eesh. Jordan Love versus who is the Rams right now? Stafford's hurt, isn't he?
Is he still hurt?
It was Brett Rippon. You know who Brett Rippon is?
No, you're naming people. I mean, it feels like
it's the
these
whole
are
point.
Games or names I would have heard if I watched MAC football on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's a lot of what it really is. So last week, I'm gonna say a name and see if you can tell me who he started in the NFL at quarterback for. Clayton Tune.
Clayton Tune. Who did he start for?
The Arizona Cardinals.
Okay. That he was Dobbs' replacement.
That's right. When Dobbs got traded
For like a week, right? And then, of course, this week.
You know, I'm going to say another name. Jaron Hall. Any idea who Jaron Hall is?
No.
He was the starter for Minnesota last week before he got concussed. And then Dobbs had to come in. You know where Jaron Hall went to school?
I'll always answer with Central Michigan first. No, I don't.
BYU.
BYU, okay.
BYU.
Was he Zach Wilson's successor?
I think so.
Or was he before Zach Wilson?
No, he's young. He's first or second year.
Okay.
And then everybody knows this name because they've been in prime time. But if it was just stuck in the middle of a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, ain't no way you know who quarterback who Tyson Bagent. But I don't even know how to say his name. Bagent.
I don't know.
Do you know who he quarterbacks?
No.
The Bears.
Oh, the Bears.
So what I'm trying to tell you here is where are the young ones? Okay, you've got obviously it looks like C.J. Stroud is on his way to being a very good, if not great, type guy. I guess we can count Hurts. We can count Burrow. Are they still in the young category? Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah,
you count those guys. Herbert probably he definitely fits into that, and Tua, let's say. I mean, once you get to the Dak level, Josh Allen, that Baker, those guys aren't really. I mean, they're younger, but they're not like young.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So where are the? I mean, gosh dang. I mean, I know Indianapolis tried to draft one. Carolina tried to draft one this time. The Giants, like Daniel Jones, he's past the young quarterback. He's been in the league too long. So when you look around here, Zach Wilson, he's a young one, but's terrible. Mac Jones is a young one that's terrible. Jordan Love is a young one that doesn't look very good. Kenny Pickett is a young one that doesn't really look very good, even though their team wins, which is just amazing. That's now 9 games. All 9 games they've been outgained. And the Steelers are 6-3. That is just silly. Absolutely silly that you're able to win games like that. So, all of this to say, right now, going into Week 11, which everybody has, 7 games left on their schedule, who is in tank mode? Or who should be in tank mode?
Well, I would have told you Arizona, but they brought back Kyler and they played them and they won. So I'm taking them off the table.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll talk about. There's two here that I think are really interesting, and then I think there's a whole bunch of obvious ones.
And I would have even thought the Vikings, but they've won a couple of, and it looks like they really like Dobbs.
They're the hottest team in the NFL.
They are.
They've won 5 in a row.
Yeah, they have. Man, I don't know. Maybe the Titans?
Okay, the Titans, 1,000,000% should be in tank mode.
Should be.
They're
out of it.
Unless you love Will Levis. Will Levis actually was pretty good until this week, and then he was pretty bad this week. But they should absolutely at least give themselves a chance. The Patriots are 1,000,000% should be in tank mode.
Listen, bench Jones. And
No, don't bench Jones.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, last thing you want to do is bench Mac Jones. That'll give you a chance to win.
If he's the best that they got.
Play him.
Because how many times has Belichick benched him, brought him off the bench, benched him, brought him off the bench?
If you're trying to tank, do not bench Mac Jones. Because that's going to work in your favor.
No, my point is, if that's the best quarterback you got, he's pretty bad. So the guys below him have to be worse, right?
Keep on playing him. Somehow the Jets are 4-5. They should be in this group, even though maybe they can be in this group in 2 years, but they should be right now. There's no guarantee that Rodgers is coming back.
No, and Wilson is awful. He's not going to try to
hit that
give
one
that up. But,
listen, hit that one on the head way back before that draft.
I never
said he wasn't any good.
Saw anything out of him.
Here's the deal. You can see there's every single game that Zach Wilson plays, you see about 3 plays where you go, that's why everybody loved him. I mean, the other day he threw his arm strength and his that part of it, he makes a couple of throws that you go, man, he's one of the very few dudes that can do that. But it's also 8% of the game.
Yeah, how many snaps?
That's right. If that got to like 75% of the game, then you'd go, oh yeah, that guy's pretty good. I mean, so what I'm saying is, at least on him, you actually see the talent that's there. You just got to figure out how to get it out of him more consistently. With Mac Jones, you don't even see that.
No,
you just go, what in the world?
What are you doing? Yeah, Wilson, I was never high on him. And I'm not going to sit here and say I can just see a guy in college and say that's going to be a good quarterback. Like Allen, you wouldn't think would be really good coming out of Wyoming. And I even had my reservations about him because I was thinking, well, it's Wyoming. He played in the Mountain West. You better be carving him up if you're a good quarterback. And I kind of had that same feeling about Wilson at BYU. At the time, they were independents, and they were have a little bit more challenging schedule. And he led them to some success. But my point is, I would watch him in college and go, I just don't see it. I just don't see where the next step could be with him at the next level.
I don't know how you do it anymore, because the college game, it's so much easier. And I think the hardest part is, one, taking a snap from under center and turning your back to the defense on like a play action, which nobody in college does, almost nobody.
Yeah.
And two, everything is the offensives in college are now so intricate. Like, the play is decided for you. There's very few of those, even the really good college quarterbacks, very few are actually reading the defense and finding the open man. It's all kind of scripted for them. Yeah, everything, it's like 1-2, there it is, And I think that's where it makes it, the mental side of it is where it makes it so hard. And so, like, when you do see one of these guys against, like, that's why I was so convinced C.J. Stroud was the best quarterback in this draft. It all happened one single night. Watching him against Georgia and him destroy Georgia's defense. Because Georgia had a quote-unquote NFL. I mean, they had a bunch of guys that were going to play in the NFL.
That game felt like a NFL light. Like, it felt like a lot of those guys, and without looking, I'm sure a lot of them are or have been already up into the NFL. But when you get that feeling of a game, I'm totally with you, 100%. And in a way, Ohio State runs an offense. It's almost more of a traditional NFL-style offense that gets those guys. I mean, you watch every Monday, Sunday night, and they're Joe Smith, the Ohio State University. You always hear there's a lot of guys that they put in because of that offense. And I totally agree with you. That was the night I thought, man, he's carving them up. And if it wasn't for
Harrison going out on the targeting, not targeting, concussion, they win that game.
And you felt like it was get to the line, read the defense, make a change. If not, take a snap, go through your progression. It wasn't 1, 2, 3, hit somebody on a slant, or
Right.
1, 2, 3, going deep on the side. I mean, it wasn't like that with him in that game, and I had fun watching that game.
You saw something you don't see very much in college football. The quarterback's head move across the field,
Yep.
reading the defense.
Yep.
That night.
Yep.
Okay, so for me, the two that are really interesting. One is the Cardinals.
Yeah, what do you do there? What message are they sending everybody by playing Kyler? I didn't watch that game, but was he the reason they won? I mean,
Man,
he threw
made
a pick, but he did run one in.
Gosh, and he made in the last drive is like 3rd and 12. Nothing was open. He ran around in a circle back there and got like 25 yards. And basically, the play of the game he made with his legs, like Kyler Murray can make with his. You know what I'm saying?
But this is his first game. It was November 12th.
Dude, he looked so fast.
Yeah, but that's his first game.
Yes.
If he can't do that a full season.
Yep. No, that's why it's such a problem. Plus, they paid him.
Yeah.
The other
Paying
one,
him, make him work.
The other one that's interesting is Chicago, but they haven't paid Justin Fields, so it's easy to cut ties with Justin Fields. Whereas Kyler is so much different. You know, and the Giants, paid Daniel Jones. They could have gone 2-8 without him.
Oh, yeah.
But they paid him. I mean, both of those teams, Arizona and the Giants, are both 2-8, and both have paid a quarterback. Now, the Giants didn't pay Daniel Jones like the Cardinals paid Kyler Murray, but they still paid him. And and the problem for Daniel Jones, or the Giants, is when they watch Daniel Jones, who in the world wants to trade for him?
No.
I mean, so that's a cut. At least the Cardinals might be able to find somebody to offload Kyler to, if they want to draft. If they end up high enough to want to draft one of these quarterbacks.
Somebody.
And then the question also becomes, when I say these quarterbacks, does that mean Caleb Williams only where you'd make crazy moves for? Or is Drake May in that conversation as well? Or somebody else? I don't think Arizona cuts Kyler Murray loose or tries to trade Kyler Murray for anybody but Caleb Williams. That makes sense? You know, the Bears won, which you'd think, God, what are they doing? But they beat Carolina. Guess who has the Carolina's pick?
The Bears.
The Bears. So they were kind of in a no-lose situation
by
there.
them winning, their chances of getting the first pick went up, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, because put
again,
Carolina
you own Carolina's pick.
On the text line. Scotty's got Raiders and Broncos. Raiders 100% are in this. Broncos are interesting all of a sudden. I mean, the Raiders are 5-5, so they need it bad. I just don't know if they're going to get it. They've already won too many games. But, you know, there's some other guys. The Broncos are super interesting. They're 4-5. But they now won 3 straight, and 2 of those wins were Chiefs-Bills.
Yeah, Wilson's looking more confident.
There's a bunch of good teams that haven't beat Chiefs-Bills.
No.
Dallas, Miami, just to name a few, that have winning records and haven't got close to beating teams as good as the Chiefs or the Bills. I think this is going to be, obviously the playoffs and all that's going to be one angle of this, and then I think the Caleb Williams thing is going to be a total another. There were some bad losses for some good teams this week. Cincinnati dropping that game to Houston was a crusher in that tough division that is the NFC North. And another one, Baltimore blowing that game to Cleveland. Oh, my goodness. Those are the games that you come back here in about 6 weeks and go, oh, yeah, remember when Baltimore blew that game to Cleveland when they were up 14 basically the entire game and ended up losing on their home field? Steelers are sitting there 2-0 in the division. This is going to be, I mean, we've said it all year, I think. I don't think there's any doubt AFC North is the best division.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, top to bottom. On any good day, I mean, what if Pittsburgh suddenly figures out how to outgain somebody.
Oh, how about? I mean,
they're right there. I mean, then that could put them up at the next level. Yeah, any given day, any given Sunday, those 4 teams can win.
I mean, I feel like the Bengals could win. I know they could win the AFC South. I think they might be able to win the AFC East. And they're last in the AFC North. That's how bad a loss that was to Houston. Even though Houston's becoming a way better team, Stroud's been awesome, and they're 5-4. Whoever would have saw that coming? Their number, they're over. They have to be really close to surpassing the season win total at 5. I have to go back and look at that. But that's still a bad loss. The way you just can't lose that game on your home field in that division. All right, what's your top 5 this week?
My top 5. Let me get my notes here. Wrote this down earlier. This was hard because you had 2 teams with buys that are still in my top 5.
Yeah.
And that'd be number 1, Philly. I'm keeping them there. Number 2, Kansas City. And that sit down and get the popcorn ready this weekend for that game. I put Detroit at number 3. Baltimore's loss hurt them, but I still have my top 5 at number 4. And number 5, flip a coin. I don't know. I'm going with that head-to-head stuff. I'll put San Francisco there. My fandom wanted to put Dallas there, but I'm not ready to do that just yet. So San Francisco back on the high side against a solid Jacksonville team. That was a good win for them.
How about this? I'm going to put San Francisco number 1.
Oh, okay.
Because they were finally healthy again.
Well, that's a good point, too.
When they're healthy, I think the 49ers are the best team. And they were, and they just dismantled the Jaguars on the Jaguars' home field. A Jaguars team that everybody was in love with. At 5 straight wins, 6-2, riding high behind Trevor Lawrence, and they got destroyed. So I'm going to put San Francisco numero 1. Philly 2. And then almost by default, Kansas City 3. It almost feels like Kansas City and Miami got lucky not to play this week, right? Because of the way that the good teams lost. I mean, Buffalo. What is Buffalo doing last night?
Oh my!
What are they doing? So I'll put Kansas City 3rd. I'm not putting the Dolphins in the top 5 till they beat somebody that's got a winning record. I'm not going to.
No, I'm the same one.
I'm not going to.
When I said flip a coin, they were not on that coin. They were not a part of that.
Detroit 4. And I'm going to put Dallas 5. With Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore, come on.
Bad loss.
Baltimore, Cleveland, the Jags. Is it possible that the AFC isn't just so head and shoulders above the NFC like everybody thought going into the year?
Maybe.
I think there's 2 major reasons why. Buffalo and Cincinnati. Those 2 teams are 5-5 and 5-4. You know what I mean? And that was kind of a big reason why it felt like the AFC had 4 of the top 6 at least in the whole league. You take 2 of those away and maybe insert a Detroit or a Dallas, and all of a sudden it evens it out a little bit more than normal.
Yeah.
NFL, man, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Right. And the cool thing about it is it's not like college. So, like Baltimore, after blowing that game, they're not out of it.
No.
They just makes it harder to get in.
Yeah.
It's Paul Jones Drug Tuesday. Thank you to Rodney and the gang at Paul Jones Drug. We'll tell you all about them when we come back. We'll talk to college football. Jared gets to hire some coaches next right here on the Skinny on Sports.
Paul Jones Drug offers a free service that makes taking your daily medications safe and easy. It's called convenience packaging, meaning they can combine all of your daily medications and put them in sealed, separate daily packages. This process replaces you from having to fill your daily medication dispenser. And as always, Paul Jones Drug prepares individual blister packaging for long-term care patients. With their drive-through window, curbside service, and free local delivery, it's just more reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street, Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
The Skinny on Sports.
Welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the sports animal. Hanging out on a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday. Paul Jones Drug is care you can trust right here in the Elk City area. 809 North Main Street is their address. They are the oldest compounding pharmacy in Elk City, which means they are the most experienced at compounding. Free local delivery, drive-through pickup, curbside testing, or get your vaccinations. Blister packs, which is their long-term care unit packaging, all available at Paul Jones Drug. We've got plenty of other things to tell you about throughout the show down there as well. We appreciate Rodney and all the gang at Paul Jones Drug. All right, Jared. We talked yesterday how kind of almost not surprising that Jimbo Fisher's gone, but just when it happened.
Yeah.
But it does make sense.
Did you see the donation?
What?
The Booster Club donation right in the middle of that game?
No.
The jokes came
I have
flowing.
missed it.
Like,
No.
oh, look, they donated a large amount of money. And it was like, oh, there's the check that they used to make him go away. He didn't even know he was getting – that check was for him to go away.
Yeah, I mean,
happened right in the middle of the game, like a timeout in the first quarter or something like that. I don't know if that was – but you see what I'm saying?
It seems like, because people are like, oh, my gosh, how do you fire a guy that just won 51-3 or 51-10, whatever the final score was?
Yeah.
And the answer is, I think this happened Thursday.
No, yeah.
Like Thursday night.
There's a Board of Regents meeting. Yeah,
they all kind of got the big guys got together or the big guys made the little guys get together and decide to fire him.
Yeah, I imagine that room looked like a bunch of guys with big cowboy hats and boots on. There's some whiskey in the middle of the table, cigars. Like, we're firing this guy.
It reminds me that the Seinfeld episode with the guys from Houston.
Yeah.
When they were betting on everything.
Tell that son of a...
Yeah, that's who I assumed is making the decisions down at A&M.
I did hear an interesting theory why they fired him now.
Oh, can I guess?
And you probably heard it too.
I mean, I haven't really heard anything, but I can guess.
Because they already got a guy.
One, I think it's one of two things. One, they've already talked to somebody and have a guy in mind or have a guy almost committed. Or two, and this is something we're going to see more and more often. Used to you could wait till the season was over, first weekend and around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Fire your coach, and you had 2 months plus before signing day.
Right.
And there wasn't this thing called the portal.
Yep.
Now that timeline is sped up because you have to figure out a way to keep your own dudes that you want in the program while also hiring a coach as fast as you possibly can because signing day is coming up in December, which really kind of stinks for the entirety of the whole thing. The players, they're 6-4. I get it; it's not what they want to be, but those the kids on that team that want to be there deserve to, finish out. Think about the seniors that love Texas A&M, or grew up Aggies, dreaming of going there, aren't NFL type dudes. And their last 3 weeks and then into whatever bowl game they go to is just going to stink.
Yeah.
They don't have a coach. Everything's in turmoil. They don't know who's leaving, who's going. It's just not a great thing for college football in my mind.
No.
Even though people don't care about those other bowl games, those kids do. So let me ask you this. If you were Ross Bjork, well, it turns out, here's the truth, Jared. You can't be Ross Bjork because Ross Bjork doesn't have any power.
No.
The AD has zero power in this. So if you were the guy that wrote the $100 million check to hire Jimbo Fisher and then wrote the $100 million,
I'm in the Oilman's Club
that's
and
right.
the suite at Aggie Stadium or whatever.
Who are you hiring?
Now, who should I hire or who I think they will hire?
Who do you think should be the next? See, here's the problem. If you're one of those guys, you don't think clearly.
No.
You don't think rationally. You think home run. Whatever home run in your mind means, which in their mind is biggest, shiniest name, unfortunately. Isn't it crazy to me how much they hate each other, how much they despise each other, how much they act like they aren't each other, but how much A&M and Texas are starting to mirror each other?
Oh, yeah. That's a Texas thing, I think. bigger is better in Texas. We got to be the flashier
Okay.
name and all that stuff.
So,
I could tell you who should be hired.
okay, who?
And I'm with Jim on this. It's Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator at the University of Washington. It's not a flashy hire, but when has a flashy hire worked out for Texas A&M? So, and he might come at a discount compared to what they've always paid their coaches. So, in what money? Well, money's not an option. They'll have money. That's who I would get. And they got to be patient with this guy. You can't expect a sudden 2-year turnaround. But that leash might become shorter if they can keep all those guys you mentioned on campus. But that's who I would go get. That's who I think they should hire, somebody like that. But Ryan Grubb, I think, is the next guy that's going to be a hot commodity in the coaching carousel world. And if they fire him at this moment, they can get first dibs at him. I mean, they fired Jimbo right now. The timeline sped up. Hey, give him a phone call.
Okay, what is his background?
I don't know.
Because there's one thing that is going to be a necessity in the background of whoever the coach is at Texas A&M. And quite frankly, Texas normally.
Ties to the SEC?
No, ties to Texas high school football.
Right.
You have to be able to recruit the state of Texas if you're at A&M, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying.
I'm looking at his
And here's the issue
past.
for maybe, I don't know. But if you don't have any ties to it, you're some sort of outsider. I mean, look back. Let's think about all the different. Look back at there was a few hires that Bob Stoops made even way back. Bobby Jack Wright was one of them to have ties to Texas.
Yeah.
If you're in this region. So
Nah, he would not be that guy then. I mean, he's from the north. He's from Iowa. He's had stops at South. I mean, he played at South Dakota State. Stayed on as a coach there for a little bit. Sioux Falls, Eastern Michigan. Got to the west coast of Fresno State, and then got hired over at Washington. But he feels like that next.
Oh, I think he's for somebody.
Savant, that offensive dude.
Right.
He's a quarterback coach too, but outside of Manziel, I mean, there's obviously Murray. Does that even count? But what's a big name quarterback that's come to A&M?
Yeah.
That's made a name. You know what I mean? You go, oh, Kellen Mond. I mean, come on.
Kellen Mond was terrible the whole
He was
time.
bad. So my point is, you get a guy, a quarterback. Maybe he can get that big name. Maybe a quarterback coming out of high school goes, I want to go play for that guy. Look what he did to Penix Jr. You know, who knows what that story hasn't ended yet. He might have won a Heisman.
I think he works. I just don't think he works at A&M. I think you're right. He's somebody is going to hire a really good coach in Ryan Grubb.
I know you're going to say.
I don't think it's at A&M. Do you really?
It's the guy from
No, it's not you. It's not Jeff Traylor.
Not him?
As much
Okay.
as that makes sense, it's not him.
Are you going with the flashy hire or the
Yes,
the
I
makes
am.
sense hire?
No, I'm going. But I think both. I think the guy I would hire is flashy and also makes sense, and he's kind of along the lines of what you're talking about, offensively, quarterback, and all that kind of thing.
I don't. Okay, who's that?
It is time for the Lane train to exit Oxford
Oh, wow.
and head to College Station. And I know Tyler's listening because he's texting us or texting my phone, and that would be a heartbreaker for the Ole Miss Rebels. But Lane Kiffin to A&M. And here is why I say this. He's been in the mix with the SEC. And I think he's got the attitude. I think he's got enough attitude to him to tell those guys with all the money to go jump in a creek. It's my show. Let me run it the way I want to run it. And the results, here's the thing about all that money stuff. That money stuff, it's going to always be there. Because of the egos of those guys are always going to be there. Lane's ego is just as big as theirs. But also, you know what helps with that? You know what we're not hearing this year down in Texas? That we all thought we might hear. Hell, the backup quarterback had to play. But what did we not hear?
Where's Manning?
Why isn't
Manning
But you know
playing?
why? Because they won. They're winning.
They're winning, yeah.
When you're winning, a lot of that stuff gets kind of that gets shoved back into the background a little bit.
Yep.
Waiting for oh my gosh.
Did you get a response?
Yeah, A&M is a worse job. That might be true from an unrealistic expectation standpoint, from a resources, that's not true. A&M is as resource heavy as anybody, but they're also they're a little bit Auburn-esque in craziness. He says he's waiting to go to Alabama. I could see that too. I don't know. He may have a hard time jumping with Sark. That's the thing about Sark, though. It's Texas to Alabama kind of lateral. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas for Lane, that's definitely a step up from Ole Miss to Alabama.
Money talks, though.
Oh yeah, money will talk. So you've got
They just sat down, open
Ryan
up a
Grubb.
checkbook, and go, "What's it going to take?"
all right. What about Mississippi State?
Now, Mississippi State's going to they're going to hire somebody, and you're going to go, who? The ties for Selman to Oklahoma, they just scream at you. So it makes you think, are they going to call Levy, engage his interest in the job? So there's a wide range of guys that they can make a hire there. I kind of think Levy's going to shoot up the list because of those ties with Selman in Oklahoma. I'm talking myself out of Grubb because of I think he might hold out for a bigger job. Maybe Levy.
Yeah, I think he could be in the mix. I think he can be in the mix because if you're Selman's been at
I know who it is.
who?
What about Petrino?
Well, I wondered if they would. I wondered if A&M would have the brass to just kind of elevate him, but I don't think that's cool enough for him.
No, it's not.
Petrino's a good one. I do think
Because it seems like that pardon the pun, rehab job where he can go have success and then maybe go into a bigger job. How old is he though? Does he still even want to pursue that route?
right,
But he probably who doesn't want to be a head coach, right? I mean, he might go, yeah, that's a perfect situation for me. They'd love to have me. I'd love to have them. It's in the SEC.
right.
In the right year, right scenario, right recruits, I could probably win here. Mike Leach made him relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So,
See, that's where
Petrino is intriguing.
this is where your Grubb guy makes sense.
Get your feet wet.
Well, and what has Zach Selman seen in his career? I mean, he's been Joe C's right-hand man for a while, and he's seen young, up-and-coming coordinators.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows the history of OU with Bob Stoops. He knows the history with Barry Switzer. At OU, it's always worked when you hired a coordinator. And so I don't think he's scared of that, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
It might even be in his wheelhouse. And so a guy, I would not be shocked at all if that would be possible. Here's another, Tyler just hit it, Willie Fritz. He's an old dude, though. You know who Willie Fritz is?
No.
He's the coach at Tulane.
I've seen
for
him.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, I've seen, and that, and A&M too. And you mentioned the Texas thing; they'll probably try to find a guy with a lot of Texas ties, which makes sense. But with Mississippi State, they're going to try to find a guy with a lot of ties to the South.
Yeah, or just young. Willie Fritz, 63.
Yeah, he's up there.
He may be just a little past. How about Dan Mullen?
I bet they'd be happy to have him back. Is all forgiven for him leaving to go to Florida?
I don't know. We know he works there.
I think he would want to come back. Or is he like his cushy job at ESPN?
Well, he might like it.
I don't know.
Yeah, if he's like Joe C, he's already got it. He's already got a list, which I'm sure he does. I'm sure Selman does.
Yeah.
And I would imagine to be young.
It's a good one from the text line, the Duke coach.
Yeah, he's in play for.
I've heard other jobs.
He would take A&M in a heartbeat. He was there before as their coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Mike Elko. Yeah, he would. I think I think Mike Elko is probably kind of the fallback position if A&M strikes out on their first 3 or 4 really high
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
targets. Do you think anything changes tonight in the top 8?
No.
All right, so you had a big Georgia win against the number 9 team.
That was a good win.
You had Michigan just strangling the life out of number 11. Is that enough to bump either one of them up?
No.
You had the eye test with Alabama. But you have that pesky loss to a team they'd have to leap that they lost to in Texas. I think you're probably – here's the thing. The committee is at a luxury right now.
Because of the head-to-head stuff?
Because they're coming. Yeah, the games between those teams are coming.
And they're coming too. At what point does it ever play into, like, I stopped checking the Texas TCU score when they were up by, 20? I thought, okay, they're going to roll. And then I saw the final, and I saw they gave up 20 points in the fourth quarter. At what point does winning ugly start to hurt you?
Historically, it has depended on who you are.
Uh-huh.
At times, it doesn't hurt, depending on who you are. At other times, it hurts immensely. I think the committee is probably in a holding pattern because they know they're going to get bailed out for a bunch of this. They know that either Ohio State or Michigan is going to lose.
Yeah.
They are pretty confident that either Oregon or Washington is going to lose. And so at that point, you trim 8 down to 6. And then, oh, by the way, Alabama and Georgia are going to play. So that's going to, depending on what that looks like, now you're down to 5. So you just got, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You got one eliminator. In your mind, who are the best 4 teams right now? Not resume, just what you've seen them play football. Who do you think are the best 4?
I still think, in no order, I won't put it in any order, but I think Georgia is very good outside of the controversy, which makes me mad because it's kind of like the Houston Astros thing. You didn't need to cheat. You're good. And that's Michigan. I think the eye test tells me they're good. They got a lot of really good players. Florida State, they've got those key wins, and there hasn't really been a letdown. They took care of their rival in Miami versus Miami it was in Tallahassee, but and then Ohio State. I think those are my 4 best teams right now.
Okay, mine is Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Oregon. Those are the 4 teams that I feel like look the best, with Florida State the hardest one to leave out.
I would have left. I don't like the ACC, but I like who Florida's beaten early in the year.
Yeah, for me, it's a Florida State-Oregon controversy.
And if Clemson's resurgence continues, that win at Clemson looks really good for Florida State.
Speaking of Clemson, how about Dabo at Texas A&M? We'll be back. It's Paul Jones Drug Tuesday.
Paul Jones Drug is Elk City's most experienced compounding pharmacy, meaning they can custom make your prescription medications to your doctor's specifications, safely and effectively providing you with exactly what you need. And for your convenience, Paul Jones Drug has a drive-through pickup window as well as curbside service for testing and vaccinations, and offers free local delivery. Just a couple reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
The Skinny on Sports.
All right, welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the sports animal. Wrapping up a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday. Paul Jones Drug is at 809 North Main right here in Elk City. Paul Jones Drug, care you can trust. They've got that convenience packaging. That's the individual packaging of their daily medication. No longer do you need a pill caddy. No. You don't have to load it. You don't have to do any of that. Paul Jones Drug puts the right pills with the right dosage on the right day, and all you do is open up the package, take the pills, and move on down life's path. It's a great thing there, that convenience packaging at Paul Jones Drug. Durable medical equipment, which is your walkers, canes, crutches, wraps, etc. Most insurances are accepted, and also, don't forget, it's not just the medical stuff. Paul Jones Drug has great gifts and greeting cards, and it's that time of year. You got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas. It's a really good spot to go find a lot of nice gifts for your friends and family. Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main, right here in Elk City. Appreciate Rodney and all the gang down there at Paul Jones Drug. All right, got a couple of questions on the text line. How about UCF, which would be Gus Malzahn? I assume that was with the Mississippi State job. I think that would be a home run. Now, the question for Gus Malzahn is this. Would you rather be Mississippi State in an SEC that's about to add Oklahoma and Texas, or would you rather be UCF in the new Big 12? Me personally, I would rather be Gus Malzahn at UCF in the new Big 12. I just think the resources that are available in Florida, you think of UCF as this little bitty school. It's not. It's a gigantic school. And I think he's better suited because at the end of the day, I don't think Mississippi State may not be his end-all, be-all job. And I think if you're looking for a real advancement up into the top 10 or 15 programs in the country, I think the springboard from UCF in the Big 12 is easier to happen than Mississippi State and the new SEC. And then the next question that was had was Ole Miss, Mississippi State, schools like that, will they go down with Oklahoma and Texas coming in? I think that's fascinating to find out because, I think about it through the years with, OU or Texas, and especially since A&M, Nebraska, Colorado, and Missouri left the Big 12. So starting, 2010 on. Think about all the times that the OU more than Texas in that time. But when you're playing a team and you're not having your best day, but you're able to eke out a win because, maybe that lower rung in the Big 12 isn't as good as the lower rung in the SEC. And do some of those wins turn into losses? And some of those teams would be the Ole Miss, or the Ole Miss probably a little higher than that right now for sure, but Mississippi State would be on that level, and how much that could springboard them to stay relevant. I think as long as Lane is at Ole Miss, they're going to be that team that is right there on the cusp of being, making it to the SEC title game out of the West or what have you. Or it won't be the West anymore. Oh, but Mississippi State, to me, that's one of the hardest jobs in the country. I mean, you put that up there with the Washington State, and some of those really, really, really difficult jobs. Mississippi State is absolutely one of those to me. They have better access to better players, but they're also Mississippi State in the SEC West, or have been. Back to who the best four teams that people think they are. We got Alabama, Georgia, Washington, and Michigan. And then question, if Alabama played Ohio State or Oregon, who would win? Here's the deal. Outside of maybe Georgia, if you ask me if Alabama played so-and-so who would win, right now I would say Alabama. I can't believe how much better Jalen Milroe has got throughout the season, where that Alabama offense was week 2, week 3, week 4 versus where it is now. This is one of Nick Saban, and this is a mouthful to say, but this is one of Nick Saban's best coaching jobs of his career. For where that team started to where they are now. I had to text that Alabama isn't the same Alabama that Texas beat in week 2. I 100% agree. If that game was played again this weekend, Alabama would be a touchdown favorite. And rightfully so, I think. Alabama, they're fortunate enough to pull out, like the A&M game on the road. They pulled that one out of the fire. Heck, they pulled the UCF game out of the fire a week after losing to Texas. But not ever suffering that second loss has allowed them to also improve and develop and get better and better and better. And right now, it looks like the same old Alabama. You wouldn't even know that they had those struggles earlier in the year if you watch them right now. Watch them against LSU a week ago. And so I'm not so sure that Alabama isn't the best team again. They just look like Alabama. The defense is awesome. Milroe's coming along now. LSU's defense isn't what you're used to seeing out of LSU by any stretch of the imagination. And so maybe, in a potential, on the road at Jordan-Hare here in a couple of weeks in the Iron Bowl, and most notably in the SEC title game against Georgia, we'll see exactly how far Jalen Milroe has improved, how much he has developed. But, man, Alabama, they look really good right now. That's why eye test to me, they're one of the top 4. And then you think about Michigan. Can Michigan let's say that it doesn't, either Georgia or Alabama. Michigan plays like Georgia and Alabama. Can they out Georgia? Meaning, can they play their style and beat them at their own game? It's hard for me to see that, because if you look at the rankings in recruiting and you see the players on the field week in, week out, year in, year out here for the past, a handful of years at least, it's when you watch them play, Georgia and Alabama, and a lot of times really Ohio State's in this mix too, but they just look like they have better players. So can Michigan beat them at their own game? One would think you would have to have better players to beat them at what they do best. And I'm not sure if that's true, even as dominant as Michigan has looked. We still skipped over the team that I'm not trusting anymore. We have to get to that tomorrow. There's one team that I will never trust again until I see it on the field. See them do what they have not been able to do. And once again, this year, they play a 2-game schedule, and they go 0-2. We'll tell you who that is tomorrow. Don't forget tonight, NBA 6:30 right here on these airwaves. Chet versus Wemby for the first time on an NBA court. Thunder Spurs. What could be the rivalry, the Magic and the Bird of the 2020s. Everybody have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow, Skinny on Sports, on a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way back. Goodbye.
Paul Jones Drug offers a free service that makes taking your daily medications safe and easy. It's called convenience packaging, meaning they can combine all of your daily medications and put them in sealed, separate daily packages. This process replaces you from having to fill your daily medication dispenser. And as always, Paul Jones Drug prepares individual blister packaging for long-term care patients. With their drive-through window, curbside service, and free local delivery, it's just more reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street, Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.